Dicey Riley's on the square. Glad to be here. You've got the little sculpture thing out the back. Always loved it. Excellent around here. So if you get the opportunity, do come down. And we're also with our friends at Erdinger as ever on the Friday night. After Liverpool played on a Thursday, these two gentlemen were there, both of them. I wasn't, but it's the first time I've talked about the game since because I was away. Watched it though, enjoyed it. Phil, let's be clear, no one's acting as though a 0-0 away from home is a great result, but it's a very good result. No one's acting as though it's a great performance, but it's a very good performance. Any 0-0, any draw away from home on the whole against a Champions League team, apart from Tottenham, they don't count, is a good result. But in this instance, what we thought we were walking into, the way in which it went, Liverpool have got to be pleased with themselves.
I mean, it's a sign of progression from where we were. For me, I think there's the PSV game for me feels like a really big turning point. If you go back to that game, we played 12 games before that between the Southampton game in the League Cup and that night, and we conceded the first goal in 10 of them. Wow. I think you'd be hard pressed to go back and find a 12-game period in Liverpool's history where they concede the first goal 10 times. Now we come back and win one of the games, we lose the other 9.
Yeah.
That's where we were. That is the position we were in. Teams were walking through us, teams were scoring goals at will. They were making us. It was very easy for them. I remember doing a show, I said Liverpool are incredibly easy to play against. Well, Liverpool are now not incredibly easy to play against.
Do you think
that doesn't mean everything.
Do you think that was the break loss moment where
I think it was, yeah, because I remember walking on the ground that night and thinking, I think I did the post-match show with you, and I was thinking there's a world where we do the post-match show, we press stop, and we have to do another one because the manager's been sacked. And if he had been sacked, I don't think there would have been anyone going, that's an outrageous decision. I don't think anyone would have been going, this is terrible. So you've sort of got to look at it from that point of view, if that is what he needed to come back and turn things around. And turning things around doesn't mean you click your fingers and all of a sudden you go back to being at the top of the game. It means you have to do things slowly and steadily, and there has been frustrating things within this 10-game run, let's be perfectly honest. We've failed to beat Leeds twice. There's the Sunderland game, which was not particularly enjoyable to watch. There was the Wolves game, which was a bit tough, but you still get the 3 points, but it was hard. There's been not much fun in a lot of the games, but it was needed. And in those 10 games, we keyed the first goal twice.
Yeah.
And one of them was a ridiculously fortuitous deflection for Sunderland. This is a turnaround, and last night felt like more of a sign for me because it showed that we weren't just going to go and be walked all over. When if things were 2 months ago, I think we would have just lost that game very comfortably because I feel like the mentality of them is a bit different. They look happier, they look a bit taller, bigger, more confident in themselves. And I think that's a huge part of what this turnaround needs to be, because I think a lot of it was that they were very, very, very low.
Well, last night, Cam, you were in the ground, and for me, from just watching it felt like a game of psychology. The mentality played, I think, a big part. Our mentality, but I think their mentality, their ground's mentality, I think they dip after Bradley hits the bar, as though, oh God, this isn't quite what it was meant to be. This wasn't what was on the billing. And then by the time you get to 60, 70, their ground is really, really anxious, so you must have sort of notched that all the way through that journey there. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, even down to like their first corner, because they rely so heavily on set pieces. When they get the first corners, just the big, raw, and then when they get it and they don't get anything from it, they're a bit like, oh, that's not the script, that shouldn't be happening. And then you're seeing that going on. I was looking at it, I was just trying to some of the people around me saying like, oh, it could be a cricket score tonight. But I was just thinking, just get through the 15, and then the next 15, the next 15. And in the end, as you said, got to 60, 17, I think both teams were shook on 0-0, to be honest. I think we were happy the way Phil's just referenced then, compared that to the PSV game, compared to how we've got to this point now. And I think with Arsenal, it was one of the toughest home games left. They're in a good position. They've just had a very good weekend as well. Good week on the back of other results. And they probably just thought, a point isn't the worst result at all.
There's something in it, I think, Andy, where the other really good performance, or the real sort of stand-up performance in this run has also been to Milan away. And I thought Liverpool really did pull on that European experience, that European know-how. But it also gives it a pathway. For me, the thing I'm most pleased with about last night's performance and results is I can see how this side gets to the European knockout games. That's what I took from it big time. I can see how this team can do that, can go anywhere, and for long periods dominate the ball.
Yeah, there is an element of that, but I just think so much of it's psychological. And I think that plays into the game yesterday for Arsenal and Liverpool. I think Europe has been a bit of a fillip for us, PSV aside. I think it's been a bit of a break for us, a bit of a release from the constants and the dares, and you can get yourself, you can drive yourself mad when the same mistakes keep happening, and the harder you work, the more they seem to care. It's like me doing the sound. But I think Arsenal, sticking with the psychology point, they out-Arsenal themselves again this week. Like, we're struggling, we're not where we should be. Yet Arsenal, even on the social media channels, the managers' interviews, the players' interviews, they've been building this game up like it's the biggest thing ever. Like,
Home is where the heat is.
Massive.
No
A
idea.
mosaic.
No idea.
The full ground mosaic
the
in
whole
January.
thing, exactly, so you build it up to be such this big occasion. You set yourselves up to fail. Unless you win. And listen, there's nothing to say that if Arsenal do score in the first 15, it doesn't end up 3-4 because these things happen.
Yeah.
But one thing that did please me, you talk about blueprints, they stuck with it, and they were solid, and they were disciplined. I think the discipline element's massive in this. And I've said I think I was on a show last week with you, in Europe against big opposition, Konate's been really good, he's been fantastic. Right, in a couple of other games in the Premier League, I've said it's like League 2 level defending, and maybe it's just a case of that focus where it almost as if when it's a big game, they know they have to focus. They know that they're not expected to win, so they can concentrate on this bit. Whereas the likes of you playing like Sunderland or Wolves at home or whatever, and you're expected to win, you're almost going into panic mode, almost like a fever mode, not getting lazy. It's the other side of lazy. It's almost trying too hard.
Yeah.
But just touching what you and Phil were saying earlier in camp, it was interesting listening to the commentary on the telly last night because Gary Neville was craving himself for the first 25 minutes. He was giddy.
Yeah,
he was giddy Gary about how much.
Because Arsenal is perfect league winners, by the way.
Oh, it's so funny, isn't it?
It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Liverpool.
Yeah,
It's obviously
yeah.
never going to be Manchester United anytime soon. So he's like, he may as well have, honestly, he may as well have a little thing on blazoned on him with North London forever.
I mean,
I think it's probably Chelsea and fair.
Could be Chelsea, could be Apple, come on. No chance.
No.
a side issue, the fact that the majority of the country would rather City win the league tells you everything about Arsenal. But that aside, the commentary, if you weren't watching it and you were listening on the radio, you think Liverpool were getting battered. They weren't getting battered. In fact, I think they withstood a flurry.
Fucking Florida
And
on the way
in
home
that
last
25 minutes, actually scared Arsenal a little bit. Because there's a couple of times we get out the box and there's a couple of break glass challenges from Arsenal on us. Where if we break that last tackle, we're in. And then there's the two occasions when we get out to Frimpong on the right. And it wasn't a penalty, I'm sorry, it is one of them. But twice he gets in that area of the pitch on the edge on the right side.
Yeah.
Or the left side if Arsenal's defence's box. And then you've got the Bradley thing. And people talk about, Liverpool dominated the ball more and they play better. I don't think that's necessarily as much as Liverpool playing better. I think that's as much to do with Arsenal going, hang on a minute.
What we have, we hold.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting how that second half plays out, Phil, because the first goes the way in which it goes. They get in. Liverpool, I think, have a level of confidence that comes out second half. And I was struck by how much they just didn't want to break their shell. They just had the shell and they were just going to stick with it. They barely press Liverpool for extended periods because they don't want to leave the gap. And listen, I think they're going to win the league. Do any of us think they won't win the league in all seriousness?
I think I think if they don't win the league, it will be them losing the league as opposed to someone else winning the league, if that makes sense.
Well, I just sort of think now, I think, listen, if City had won one of the last two, rather than 2 draws, then the table looks a little bit different.
City now, where's the next City Arsenal game?
At City.
It's at
City,
City.
ends of
Feels a big goal, Martinelli equaliser in that game now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
3-point swing. It'd be only 3 points if he's not scored that now.
But I just sort of can't see them not winning. I don't want to say that. So I don't think it's necessarily mad that they go into what we hold mode a little bit, if that's indeed what they do. But I just think, Phil, I don't think they even do that. I just think they will, when things aren't going for them, I do feel as though they'll fall back on that manager's first instincts. Let's remember, he was the manager of Rangers. Sorry, he played for Rangers, he played for Everton. Yeah. This stuff sticks with you.
There's a key.
So he's got that about him, so he falls back onto this. Yeah. We'll go into this mode, this is how we'll see through, and go from there. And I'm just sort of watching them there. Listen, as I say, I think they will win the league. I think they're the best team in the country, got the best squad in the country by a distance. I think they'll be all right, but I did feel as though Liverpool forced them into this shell, and they just didn't want to take any chances.
But he also played for the Arsenal teams who would go away from home and against good teams and get smashed. Like, I remember, I was walking out the ground last night and I heard an Arsenal going, I can't believe they're all celebrating a draw. And I'm like, well, not really celebrating a draw. But ultimately, you used to come to our place when you're bad and lose 4-5-0.
Yeah.
on a regular basis.
And he
The
was
amount of times, the amount
literally
of,
on the pitch while that was going on.
Yeah.
We beat
Exactly.
them 5. He was on the pitch.
he
beat
scores in
them
that 5-1 because he scores a penalty.
Yeah, he scores the penalty in that 5-1 when they were top.
They were top.
Yeah.
And we beat them 5-1.
Yeah, and this is the sort of thing where I feel a bit like they're a bit cautious. I think when I sort of said that they would lose and as opposed to someone else winning, what I mean is like winners would have gone for that last night, but they were overly scared of us, which sort
Especially
of made a bit of
considering
sense.
we didn't have a striker.
Yeah,
Didn't have a soul.
we made it. We beat their press. Our three midfielders played round theirs more than I've seen us play round the team for quite a long time. I thought what we did in there and where they got close to each other and created angles for each other was excellent. But I think the thing that they were petrified of was they were petrified of Frimpong in behind. And they knew that if the left back squeezed up, you ain't getting back.
Well, Phil,
You're not getting back.
Phil, on that though, and I know they won handsomely last week when they kind of ran away with it fair second half, but first half,
Oh, Villa were.
when Rice wasn't in there,
Yeah.
Villa looked like the better team. And I think that's one thing Liverpool did do, is they matched the physicality in the midfield. They matched the physicality in the midfield. And on the Frimpong point, I think you're spot on. But they decided to regress into that shape.
Yeah.
Now, I could understand it if you had an Ekatike hanging on the left shoulder, or an Isak when he's in form hanging on the left shoulder. But we had to withdraw, and I thought Verts played well, so it's not a knock on Verts. I thought Verts played well. But I think you're right. If that's us a couple of years ago, or if that's City, they just go, fuck it, let's go.
I think the physicality point's really important, Cam, because I've watched us in a number of the last few games. You know, felt like we've started slow and finished slow. We've looked leggy towards the end. I thought the other thing we do really well last night in that shape, and I think this is huge credit to the manager, is in that first half period where we are suffering, we are threatening, but we are suffering. I thought we didn't overexert. And I don't think we overexert for the first half.
We finished that game fresher than we finished the game for a very long time.
And that's what I was driving at. And I think we manage our own energy levels so well until the injury time ball goes up. And then I think there is a bit of tiredness, does begin to creep around in there. But I thought that they looked really physically strong for the full 90.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's been one of the first times in a while where you're watching us and you can see a game plan, you can see where he's trying to match them, where he's trying to match the other managers. Because, you know, we've been watching the last few weeks and you just couldn't see what we've been trying to do at any point in the game. But in terms of physicality, got to give Gravenberch and McAllister a shout for physically. They just went up to their midfields and were like, right, let's have it sort of thing. And
That was the best game of the season by a mile.
But the thing with McAllister is, you know, in the first 5 or 10, what game you're going to get from McAllister.
Yeah.
And last night, straight away, you just knew he was on it. And they're the sort of games that, I mean, that could be a huge win for us coming the end of the season. It's not going to be what we all want at the end of the season, but I think something like that is going to give us positives going forward, definitely.
Well, you feel as though with them, Phil, they're unbeaten.
Yeah.
10 unbeaten. Last season, they were unbeaten for an extended period in the league. They lose to PSV, they lose to Plymouth in there. But I think they managed to do about sort of 3 or 4 months unbeaten at 1 point from the Forest game until that PSV game. They managed to sort of roll.
PSV game.
There's the Tottenham away in the League Cup. Actually, is in early January, so that counts as one. The point being, though, is that you don't actually get that many extended unbeaten ones for anyone in this country at the minute. It's so hard, game in, game out, that they've got themselves to 10 unbeaten. You know, I think you can do a little bit of a Louvre they played, but the point is now, well, they've gone to the best team in the country as part of this. Yeah. They've gone to Inter Milan as part of this. It's a serious 10 unbeaten now, and it's something else to build on.
Well, let's be honest, the teams we were losing to before weren't all brilliant, were they?
No.
Nottingham Forest are quite a poor team and won 3-0. Like, I remember in the very, very early days of the Anfield Wrap, it was, I think the first season Anfield Wrap, I think Liverpool lose 13 league games. I remember one thing you was like, Liverpool's first step now, just stop losing. Just stop losing every third game.
Yeah.
Not win all the time. Stop losing every third game, and you build up from there. And that's what this unbeaten one. Like, this unbeaten one is 5 wins, 5 draws, and a lot of the draws are frustrating. I think the 2 Leeds ones are frustrating. I think the Sunderland one's frustrating. Because last night I can't remember what the 5th one is. I've gone completely blank. There's a 5th one in there.
There is, yeah.
But you can work it out for yourself at home.
They just kind of blend into each other.
They were drawn. I was probably a bit bored by the end of it. We'll go with that. It was Fulham, wasn't it? That was frustrating. But you just need to build off these things. I feel like the draws we would have just probably lost 2 months ago. And it sounds like I'm really, really trying to take positives from small things. It sort of is, but it's how you build to the next thing where you take positive things that are generally
It's framed
good.
by last night.
100%, yeah.
It's framed. You don't have the. I've been as annoyed by anyone, and I think Liverpool will be fine for the Champions League. But I think if they're not, the reason why you've not got the Champions League place is because you've drawn twice home and away against Leeds and you drew at home to Sunderland.
100%.
It's not about not taking 6 points against Arsenal, to be clear. But part of why you take 4 points from Arsenal, you get that draw last night, is you built that resilience. You put that resilience back into these lads, and that's what we get to see.
But there was times last night though where like we could have just went for it at the end. There was like that 5-10 yards in front of them to go ahead and take a shot off. But we were just really cautious about it all. But as I said, if you'd gone back to that PSV game and said you were going to go to Arsenal and come out at the end and say, do you know what, 5 or 10 extra more minutes here, we might the next one.
But I think the other thing, Cam, is I think the other thing that would help, and it's not much to ask, is 3 subs. Yeah. 3 subs that he wants to bring on. I think if he's got 3 subs to bring on 70, I think genuinely, if our manager had their manager's bench, we win the game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And that is,
that's not it. If we have a strike, if we have there might be an argument in some quarters that our first choice front 3 would be Atkinson, Isak and Salah. None of them are there. None of them on the bench. That's, this isn't the case where it was like their best lads versus our best lads, and we just.
Oh, Gary was trying to pencil like we had 9 of our best 11 on the pitch, which But just on the resilience.
Sort might be, but
8 maybe. I think
that's why you start in 11 if everyone's fit.
No, of course, it's a long way away from that. That's why it's quite interesting.
It's not 9 if you start in 11 if everyone's fit either.
It's probably not far off,
Yeah, well.
The goalkeeper.
The point is that
there's no relief though.
No, there's none of the forward options. That's the key thing.
Yeah.
But you said resilience, and that I'm gutted you said that because that was on the tip of my tongue. The one thing that what impressed me is the context of going into this game. So Fulham, and listen, there's reasons and there's excuses. These aren't excuses. We all know we've not been anywhere near it. But I thought the manner in which we drew the Fulham game, that made me fear for this weekend. So had Gakpo's winners, Gakpo's goal being the winner against Fulham, I would have been more optimistic about yesterday. But the fact that Fulham scored the first shot on target,
and the second,
and the last, and exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. And then we toil and we get ourselves in and we go 2-1, and that euphoria. Yes, this is it. Share comes off, great, and then you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, of course.
Yeah.
For them to carry that into the Arsenal game, it would have been very, very easy for them to go, look, whatever we're going to do here is, we're going to stand on a fucking rake again.
Yeah.
So I think that you talk about the reset after PSV, and I think that the resilience and the togetherness, they're the foundations that you can build on.
Yeah.
And I think it wouldn't have surprised me if they were fragile yesterday, but they weren't. And that's what impressed me. And it's baby steps now. And I think the realisation amongst the fan base as much as anything, that the league's long gone, we're not going to do that now. And not winning a game isn't, to me, although you'd like to win all of them, not winning isn't like the emergency that it will be in a normal title winning season.
Our target now is 70 points.
Exactly. So it's not the end of the world. You always say scoreboard pressure.
Yep.
But having that, where you can just go, and I'm not saying, we're allowed to lose, or it's acceptable to lose or draw or whatever, but you haven't got that panic, that anxiety that you need to get something when it gets tight.
I think that's all really, really fair. The last thing about it, Cam, for me, great thing is he has to do it with basically with 11. I know Gomez gets on at the very, very end, but he has to do it with 11. And I thought they were just all 11 minimum very good performances. You don't get what you get at Arsenal if you've got a weak link somewhere, especially if that weak link's in the back 6, back 7. And that just isn't the case. I think they all basically put in around their 8 out of 10. And I think that is another...
Kekaz was great,
Kekaz really, really good.
That one with Saka on the penalties.
Yeah, and then when Saka just nearly chopped him in half and he still just carried running.
He should have gone down then. He should have gone down, he would have, at worst, got a yellow. There's a world where that's a red card as well, by the way.
Well, that's the other part of it as well. They show that resilience, they show that excellence. They have a little bit, I think, on the whole, a little bit of hard lines with the officiating. I don't think anything is nailed on. I want to be clear. I don't think you don't want to start crying about everything all the time. But you've seen that pen given is the point. And there's a couple of little bits and pieces in there. I just think that they all come away as a real credit to themselves. And that's also really, really good news. To get 11 very, very good performances in a big game, big crowd. As you say, they've got the tifo out, all the hits, everything's there. Liverpool, that 11 delivered. And again, you can build on that. You can be building on that when we get to March and April and knockout football.
Well, that's it. Like, when you look at the reaction last night, some people saying, like, oh, you know, we're Liverpool, like, we shouldn't be celebrating 0-0. It's not, though. It's because of how we've been at times this season. There's been a reset within a reset. And now, if you'd, like, on the way down, you know, people saying, oh, I don't know what score it's going to be. Well, I think last night, that's something you can really build on for the rest of the season. And also, most importantly, let's be honest, we can't win the league. Champions League is now the one that you're looking at. And it's games like that last night, because we could go and get them later on in the Champions League. Yeah. And if we put a performance in like that in the first leg, imagine that. Well, we'd be bouncing into Anfield in the second leg.
Yeah. Take the 2 Arsenal games in the league, we're through there now.
Exactly. There you go. And also, compared to like last season when we were going for the league, the first 20 last season, they were all over us last season compared to this one.
Yeah.
You know, and Saka gave Robertson a terrible time last season. They were 1-0 up early in the fall last night. Just really complete, and I think Rafa would have been proud of it as well, to be honest, rolling back the years.
It has a lot of Benitez energy. The whole thing has a lot of Benitez energy. It is the Friday night. We are in Dicey Riley's. Very pleased to be here with our friends at Erdinger as well. Back in a second or two, but as far as I'm concerned, Liverpool are unbeaten in North London forever. It is Friday night. We are with Erdinger. Listen, that was very Arsenal heavy, but the game was just last night. It's Barnsley. It's all the way through until Monday. Andy will be previewing it on Press Conference Extra on the Anfield Wrap audio. We'll be bouncing around elsewhere as well. It is.
Oh, you want to know what he said in the embargo press conference?
I'm not the embargo press conference. We're on for years. They recorded it last night. Imagine. There is
still doing it now. He's not got home yet.
Oh God. Poor fella, honestly. How much does he have to talk in front of cameras at times?
It was more when we had the radio on the way home. He's live on TalkSport at about 11:15, and I'm like,
let him go home.
Lad, the game finished about... I was nearly on the M1, he's still there talking.
Honestly, when that came out with Jürgen, when like at the end of Jürgen, and what did he find hard? And he was like, well, it's doing the press conference and then doing 6 post-match interviews and press conferences. And I was like, 6? And he was like, 6. And you're like, oh Christ, just let these fellas go home. It's hard enough to do the job. They all have to do it as well. I feel sorry for Arteta. No wonder Arteta says daft things from time to time. He's just constantly got microphones being put in front of himself, and he can't help the fact that he played for Rangers and Everton. The thing is, Cam, this one against Barnsley, it is worth saying that obviously any defeat will be dreadful news. Like, I don't think I want to do this way around. I can't bang on about 10 unbeaten and how significant it is, and then have them absolutely phone in a stinker against Barnsley. And I think
or Burnley, for that matter, by the way.
Or Burnley,
I know that's the week after,
yeah,
but it's the same thing.
It is the same thing. They've got to keep building on that. And, you know, I'm prepared to, at this stage, be quite FA Cup agnostic. I will hold the right to change my mind come the 6th round. But ultimately, they've got to make sure that nothing daft. And how he does that with a selection, with freshness, who he needs to look after, who he doesn't. That's the key question.
Yeah, I mean, there's been times under Klopp as well, where I think you've just got to use these early League Cup and FA Cup games as showing a bit of form. And, you know, sorry, to get back into form. So do you know where, like, we say about the unbeaten run, you've got to carry that on because all that goes out the window, because that's all people are going to remember. And, yeah, I just use it as another building block. And then, you never know, get into the 4th round, you go get another Barnsley, Asker home. Next thing, you could find yourself getting closer and closer, and then it's another Wembley trip.
I think the key thing for him, Andy, is he's got a few days. It is not Thursday, Sunday, it's Thursday, Monday. It's worth pointing that out. It's then Monday to Saturday. It's worth pointing that out as well. But also, like, I want to see Naomi and I want to see Rio. But I also want to see them, therefore, surrounded by some starting footballers. I don't want them just tossed in with other youth players fighting for dear life. I think if you can maybe use this as an opportunity to look at 3, 4, 5, but in the context of having a really strong framework around them.
You don't want Spurs win the League Cup 2003, 2004?
No.
David Raven.
Yeah. No, you know
405, it was, by the way.
I think you're right on the tip. What was it?
It was 0405. It was Rafa's first season.
Of course you fucking knew that.
I knew, and I was like, I was passing over, but Phil's on a class act.
You couldn't help yourself, could you?
Just tilt it out, you know.
Play for Rangers and Everton.
Exactly, yeah, well, it could have done. I think there's enough of a gap there where, you can go stronger than what people are presuming he'll do. I think you're right. I think the nail don't change. I think you're going to have the goalkeeper change.
Yeah, you've got to.
You've got to change your goalkeeper there. But it wouldn't surprise me if you see Konate and Van Dijk start the game. Really wouldn't surprise me. And you give Conor Bradley a go there.
Well, you can't, can he? But he's gone off injured.
Oh, so no, but Conor Bradley, sorry, no.
Do you mean Calvin Ramsey?
Yeah, Calvin Ramsey, that's exactly who I meant.
Yeah.
I can't say
Ends in Y and starts with C.
Yeah.
That's who I meant.
Yeah.
Calvin Ramsey there, and then maybe just a strong midfielder. But yeah, as you said, give the kids a bit of a chance, give them a platform to perform and not feel like they're under pressure and going, oh shit, this is all on us.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Jones, there's a couple of rumours were going around about Jones' fitness keys, his fitness lead into the game. Yes, they don't come on, so we don't know, Phil. But for instance, he can bring Jones in, he can possibly bring Chiesa in, he can maybe bring one other in up top. But I think it's important, like I want to see Naoni, but I don't quite see what we learn if Naoni's playing with a team of contemporaries, scrapping against a Barnsley team. I think you want to see Naoni being able to pass to McAllister, move around McAllister, play like that. I think it's important for the younger players that they've actually got some seniority.
Yeah, I really dislike watching a sort of patched together football team where even senior players who they haven't played for a while and people critique them. Like I remember, you know, people like Chamberlain and that kind of player used to come in for an FA Cup game and they not played for him. People were like, well, why wasn't he great? It's like, well, because he was expected to be the senior player on the pitch, and that's not his role.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be like the 4th or 5th best player at best, maybe even lower down than that. And all of a sudden he has to be the best and lead youngsters, and it just never works. It's never fun. So you want a couple of these players in, like I would like to see Naoni and Gamola start. I think Calvin Ramsey will probably start at right back, just the fact that you've got to protect Frimpong.
And possibly 45.
Yeah, maybe.
Van Dijk can play Gomez.
But then there's also the world where maybe they'll play that Lucky, who's been in a lot of matchday squads, and they might just think, if you play in between Gomez and Andy Robertson, might that be an area you can sort of just have a look at him and see what you've got? Maybe.
One thing that might work for our advantage as well is that because of the injuries and suspensions and whatever, a lot of the 21s and 18s have been training with the first team for more than what they would normally do. So they've been in and around that environment. It's not like they're just turning up in the car park in the morning of the game going, right lads, what are we doing?
It's also a good opportunity to get Ekatike some minutes as well if he's on the cusp of being back, which it sounds like he was.
But it's using the 5 subs, I was about to say.
We've got a lot of breaks, and you know, God, I hope it doesn't, but if it goes 6th time, you get a 6th. I'd rather it didn't.
Fuck off, Philip.
Fucking quite like to get... I want to get home.
I know, yeah, you're to the post.
Got a show to do after it as well. I don't want to do it extra time.
Would you rather go out an extra time? That's the question.
No. If it was on 90 and someone said you can go home or you can go out another half hour, I would be saying
that's your commitment to the Reds. That you love the Reds.
But I'm actually quite up for the cup now.
Yeah, I like that you're up for the cup.
I just think there's not many. Yeah, we can't win the league. We're out the League Cup, and being in the League Cup the last few years has framed our FA Cup runs really, if we're being honest. Like, think of the team we played at Plymouth last year. That's because we'd had, I think, we played on a Sunday and we had a semi-final against Spurs on the Thursday, if I remember correctly. You can't just go out and play right full strength again. We're going for the league. We've got Man City away next weekend or the weekend after, whatever. Just go all out and try and win everything. You can't do that. You have to make some sacrifices somewhere. We don't have to make that sacrifice with the FA Cup this year, and ultimately it's quite fun having a nice day out in April and a nice day out in May.
Yep.
Like, it's the one sort of, if you say to me which do you prefer, out the FA Cup or the League Cup, I would say the League Cup, just because we've got it feels like our trophy, but at the same time,
and you can get it done early as well.
Yeah, you can't beat going to Wembley in the sun in May. You can't. You just can't.
You up for the cup? You can beat it. Are you up for the cup?
Not as much as Phil, like, but yeah, I'm up for it.
No one else could be. No fucking John Motson.
I am, and when you were saying before about, I didn't realise how many teams are going to cancel each other out this weekend as well, which is always a good thing. And then hopefully, because once you eventually, I always feel like the FA Cup's a lot longer than the League Cup. The League Cup feel like it's on for like 5 minutes in the final.
Same minute, I think.
But then but just
two legs.
It's because when it comes in the year, it's more spread out.
So when you eventually do get to like the semi and the final, like there's some of the best days you have, like later on in the season, and yeah, I'm all for it.
Up for the cup?
Not as much as Phil.
No, but
I mean, I'm just looking forward to 6 a.m. match of the day coverage, cup final day. Phil's there in his suit. Victorian
following the team bus.
Following the team bus.
I'll be on the team bus, mate. It's a long game. I'm playing the long game here.
Be on the team bus.
On his penny farthing.
All the pomp and ceremony.
Yeah. Even got a rosette. I've got a little rosette on.
Oh yeah, but
I've got a rosette.
But he's even filming in black and white.
With a rattle.
With a rattle. Oh yeah,
suit and tie.
very much. Yeah. There's any trophy's a trophy, but yeah, we've got the bandwidth this year to do it. So why the fuck? It feels right. Why the fuck not?
But it's just important as well. Like when we went out to the League Cup against Palace, when you just put the kids out like that, like it affects everyone for a while. Like when it goes bad, it can go bad in these cups.
Listen,
you see it against. We've literally got knocked out against Barnsley.
One of the reasons you make that decision against Palace is so you can have a go in the FA Cup.
All Arsenal fans, going back to Arsenal, all Arsenal fans bang on about is how them with Arteta winning the FA Cup, Arteta winning the. And you know what? fair enough, it's something to cling to. I don't necessarily agree with that, but it is, if this shit-eating sandwich of a season ends with Liverpool lifting the FA Cup and just scraping into the Champions League, then that's something, and that looks far better than just scraping into the Champions League with nothing. And it's a trophy, and it's one to put in the cabinet. If it comes into it, all they're saying that, full disclosure, but they do well in the European Cup. And I don't know all the dates for Phil will know because he's Phil.
I won't actually.
In regards to the quarters and semis and then the FA Cup, if there's a decision to be made, you know what my decision's going to be.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But you just need fortuitous draws and it doesn't matter.
You just need to see the way in which it goes. Listen, Phil's up for the cup, Cam's pretty up for the cup, and he's quite up for the cup. I'm all right for now. I'm cup curious.
He's looking at the cup.
I'm fifth round of the FA Cup is where I'll really start to take it very, very seriously and have a good long look. But that's just the way it is. We're all different. We've all got different views. That's the best way in which it operates. For me, though, more important than anything else, is the cup, but I just want 11 unbeaten, then I want 12 unbeaten, then I want 13 unbeaten, then I want 14 unbeaten, because Liverpool all of a sudden look difficult to beat. You beat me there, Erdinger. Thank you very much to Ash. It's Dicey Riley's. Thanks to Phil, to Cam, and to Andy. See you soon.